mercy, what a stop!
My goodness, what a save!
What a save! What a glove save there, but what a stop! Looked like a sure goal. You talk about an A+ save and maybe the save of the night.
Welcome to the Goalie Science Podcast, where we break down the science of goaltending, coaching, and everything in between. I'm Dr. Jamie Phillips, former professional goalie, board-certified physical therapist, and goalie performance specialist, alongside my co-host, Derek Boujan, owner of Boujan Goaltending and On Ice Hockey Performance Center. Whether you're on your way to a game, gearing up for practice, or just tuning in, grab your favorite drink and let's drop the puck on this week's episode. Welcome to another episode of the Goalie Science Podcast. I do not know what episode it is because I wasn't on the last one. If anyone, don't ever build a gym. That's a whole other story in itself. So watch the vlogs that I'm very behind on editing, and I can get all of my frustrations on those vlogs. But Boosh, I did listen to the first half of the episode. I thought it was pretty good. I also liked in that I had a couple of goalies I didn't even know had sent their gloves out to the goalie glove guy, especially my younger kids, to get it like pre-broken in. He does a really good job with those.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you big dogged us. You were too busy and important and rich to come on. But that's okay. I held the fort down with my first interview solo. Second one.
No, second interview. It was better. You're better. You're getting better.
I just talk. Like I plan nothing. I think of nothing. I just like having conversations with people. But super, super chill guy. I feel like he carried most of the conversation. But like, you know, when you meet somebody and they love what they do, like you can get sense from Devin, like that guy loves what he does.
Hey everyone, Jamie here. I just want to take a second to thank today's presenting sponsor. That's right, we do have a presenting sponsor, the Goalie Glove Guy. Whether your glove is in need of a full break-in, replacement, a rebuild, or a total repair, they've got you covered. They specialize in making sure that your glove performs the way it should, smooth, responsive, and game ready. So if you have a glove that just doesn't feel right, send it their way. They'll turn your glove from bricks into butter. Just visit thegoaliegloveguy.com. All the links are linked below to order. Thanks again to the Goalie Glove Guy for sponsoring today's episode.
And our mutual friend, Anthony Quaglia, don't call me Quaglia, sent him 4 gloves. So quick story about Anthony is his daughter started training with me, and he is a obsessive personality type of person. So once he gets his mind around something, then he loves doing it, and he has some disposable income. So this guy's been a goalie for, I would on the far end, I'd give him 2 years. He has had 12 different pairs of gear. He currently comes in every week with a different pair of custom Bauer reactor like mocks that he has now got. He has 2 different pairs of custom Vons, Velocities, like VX1s and SLR4s. This guy has more gear than I have underwear. And I say that like a little bit tongue in cheek, but not really. And so I actually messaged him today. I said, hey, I saw Devin had this like retro brown Vaughn glove that he posted on Instagram yesterday. And so I texted him. I'm like, is that your glove? He's like, yeah, I sent him 4 gloves last week. I'm like, did you send any of your daughter's gloves? He's like, nah, just mine. So, I mean, just from that, the chat was definitely worth it for Devin, but yeah, super cool guy and loves what he does and does very, very good job, because I'm excited to see what comes back from Anthony's stuff. But yeah, thanks. Shout out to Goalie Glove Guy. Go check him out.
Been a while. We're gonna get right into it. So we're in the transition area of the off season into the start of the season. Most of my junior guys are either gone or they leave tomorrow, Sunday the 24th. And then my minor hockey has already started. There's already a showcase tournament going on at the rink, so I couldn't get any ice sessions for goalie coaching, which kills me. But I want to ask you, Bouger, like what the transition time. I know you and I are similar on the same path in terms of how we structure off-season training, like sort of periodization, strength training, where we peak at the end of our training season so goalies can step right into games. But what do you see as like the biggest hurdle or shock to the goalie system when they get back into the team training, and for some kids, like 1 or 2 practices and then right into games?
It's reps. Like it's reps. Like if you haven't structured an off season like me and you would, where it's like the farther you are away from games, you do the least amount of specific training, and then as you get closer, you kind of it's like a funnel of more into specificity. And then I love to end with like straight tracks, like process release, tracking, simple. It just gets so much more simple. But then you go into like a team culture, and you're a passenger now, right? It's not like you can't plan out the way you want to do it. You're a passenger. Your coach sets up your times. You're probably maybe out of routine again because you've set up your summer training with a routine of I lift on these days, I skate on these days, I do mobility on these days, and now this is laid out for me. Maybe you've switched from having morning sessions to afternoon sessions, so it's kind of changed a little bit of your morning routine. So that is the first kind of culture shock, is you're out of routine. And then it's 2-on-0s, 3-on-0s, 5-on-0s. We get back to the practice plan of our coaches, and we're targets and they don't care about us. So I always say, take your first 3 starts, throw them out the window. Like everybody's so excited about, I got so much better this summer. I'm ready to go in, step in and just dominate. And then it doesn't happen. And I know we've talked about this before on earlier pods. If you look at the NHL, these are the greatest athletes in the world playing the best game on the planet. And goalies struggle in October. Scoring is always up, save percentage is always down. And then by the time we get to November, it's flatlined because they get into the rhythm and they've adapted. And they're now back into a structure where they're used to it. Their bodies are used to it. Their brains and mindset have kind of developed a plan on how to do it in a team culture. And then everything goes off. But the big thing is, don't worry about the first 5 starts.
I think that's good. You touched on the big one that I try to establish early, especially it's actually for all kids, because like the kids will be going back to school, the ones that are still in like elementary, middle school, high school, and then the junior kids, a lot of them are going to new cities, to new environments. Understand that it's going to be messy at the start, like trying to find the routine. You can't sleep in till noon anymore, all these different things. Or if you're in a whole new city, different time zones, sometimes guys are, their girlfriends are back here, and then being able to be consistent here and there, just finding that routine and starting and accepting the fact that maybe the routine that you had the previous year isn't going to be the routine that you have this year. So not being so married to every single thing and being able to be a little bit flexible to start and then allowing yourself to settle in is really important. I like that you said you kind of go from, general training, specific training, and then you add in just like tracking. That's huge. When I did my summer program, I went from like blue line and worked my way down. And then the last week or two, we kind of worked way back up a little bit, where we went from a lot of behind the net stuff, low to high, into shots from the top of the circle, just trying to recreate some of that game mentality, mainly for my junior guys, because they're not going to get a lot of practice. They're just going to hop right into training camps and like scrimmages. I needed to create that as specific as possible. And then the biggest one I wanted to hit on was the intensity. Like, one thing that I've been doing is I've been putting together a lot more like goalie coaching resources to try to also like help other goalie coaches do similar to what we do, and like smart structure and like intelligent practice. But I don't know what they're called. This is those foam pads that they have at every rink. They use to separate the zones. So what I did is I just basically shrunk the zones quite a bit, where I stacked 2 pads on top of each other too long, so that the rebound has to stay in, and we have to play that puck out until it is either covered in the net or out of the zone or out of the pads, because I wanted a little bit of conditioning, but also that intensity. Because I went with that showcase, I went and watched a couple of my goalies play, and you can tell that some of them have still a little bit of that training habit where they're like, oh, the rebound's wide, I don't have to automatically follow it. And so I really wanted to work that out. And I wonder if I could find the live barn clip. One of my goalies made a huge save on that, and I was fired up because I was sitting with his dad. I was like, that's why I make you follow out your rebounds, because they went off the stanchions in a weird bounce, and he turned one way, turned the other, and then pushed back and actually got it in the chest. But when I was watching some of the other goalies too, you could see that who was still in summer mode. And again, like it's their first game in probably a couple months. Who was in summer mode, whose tracking was off, who's following their rebounds out, like all those habits that kind of sometimes we let slide a little bit as goalie coaches because we're so focused on like the technical aspect, is making sure that the battle and intensity is high. So hopefully that works off. It works well and pans out for the most of my goalies starting the year.
Yeah, and it comes down to like, so a big thing this summer that I focused on was the work we do in between shots. And I mean, that's like, if I say that, it's funny because like, yeah, of course, that's what we talk about all the time. But when I went into my full ice sessions and I had Hayden Jeffrey, who's going to be full-time OHL goalie this year, and I had full-time OHL shooters on with him, I found with him sometimes there was 80% standard between shots. And at that level, when it's that fast, if we are not doing the hard work in between shots to be ready or ahead of the play rather than chasing the game, then he struggled. And that was something that I pushed him on was the work we do between pucks has to be harder. So that comes back to you saying, follow pucks out, get our scans in, let's hit our marks. And that was like a big focus. And anybody listening to this is like, as you get older and the game gets faster, your scans, your pre-scans, your head checks, your ability to count bodies, that's going to be the thing that is going to be really tough for you to do when you step into those first 5 starts, because now you are responsible to know where 5 guys are. And those 5 guys are not stationary.
Pretty sure there's one of those just down the road, man. There's a 5 guys just down the road. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they got great fries. A lot of training that I bet you a lot of guys have done in a lot of stationary shooters in between. And if you haven't developed that ability to count bodies and scan and understand where guys are going, then when you get into games, that's where we get like you press the fast forward button and it's like everything feels really, really fast. And I'm sure you're a lot like me, is what we're trying to teach these guys is how to slow that down. So that is it. That's what I say. 5 games, guys, 5 games. And goalie parent dads, 5 games. Give your kid 5 games. And I'm going to go back, watch this, put this clip on my phone. And when Wesley gives up 4 goals on 8 shots in his first start, we like, give the kid 5 games. Give the kid 5 games. Because I'll be the first one taking the shoelaces out of my shoes if he gives up 5 goals in his first start.
I love that you said the scanning. I love when you validate everything that goes on in my brain. The scanning, just the big theme of this year for a lot of my goalies, because we always do a lot of options, but it was don't just scan to scan. I find that sometimes when I yell head check, kids just turn their head just to check a box and they have no idea what they're actually, and then I'll be like, what happened? Like, what was your read? What hand were they driving? Which post were they driving to? And like all those things that they need to be able to learn how to process quickly, and at least just like gather that information, that pattern mapping. They're just like, I don't know. I had checked. I'm like, what would you see? And
Exactly.
then you see them in the games and they're like, oh, I didn't see that guy back door. Yeah, I wonder why, because we spent all summer with me telling you to actually gather information. And I did come up with right towards the end of the summer, which sucks. It came up with a drill. I'll probably throw this one on YouTube because it's a good drill. I'm not trying to gatekeep too much. But when you do, it's mainly for puck handling and getting goalies to scan while they puck handle, or go back behind the net. But you can use it in all scenarios, especially if you're doing one where a player is picking up a puck in the corner and their back is to you, and that's the perfect time to head check. Is I've started to like keep my fingers up and have different fingers. So when I throw a puck in the rim, I'll have something like 4, and the goalie has to yell what that is. And then as my goalies get more advanced, they'll have a first scan and a second scan. And then they had to yell what that change of numbers are, just so that they can get in the habit of looking and actually processing information. And then we add in different D pressure, and then we try to find a way to really challenge the goalies to play a puck, because I don't know. My personal bias is I think puck handling is overrated. So overrated, but it's also not taught very well, where anyone can go in and learn how to stop a rim. But what are you doing with that puck? What are you doing? What are you making that information, or what are you doing with that information that you see? And then you get the coaches are like, he's horrible at puck handling. Like, well, he has no confidence because you yell at him every time he turns it over. But 2, he also hasn't learned how to just get back and make a safe play. Because I had all these goalies saying they want to work on puck handling, and I was like, yeah, no problem. And then we did puck handling, and they were perfect. And then I added a little bit of deep pressure, and they were awful.
Yeah. But those same coaches that say the goalie's terrible at puck handling. Yeah, well, how's your sixth defenseman with handling the puck on a retrieval? Like, what are you expecting? You got goalie with these giant gloves and a stick that looks insanely weird, and you expect him to be able to handle the puck. But your sixth defenseman you can't put on the ice because he can't handle the puck. Oh, but the goalie's got to be better. But listening to you talk, I've realized this. We're the same person.
Yeah.
We need to have somebody or to this podcast that will argue with us, because my goal in life is to just argue. I like conflict, which is bad. But
You should have been a lawyer.
Fingers, the numbers. Man, I did that all summer. We never talked about that, but I did.
Damn. I thought I was so smart and creative. Damn it.
I do the exact same thing. And what you talked about in terms of like the puck handling is, so if you listen to this in the past and watch my vlog, this summer I did completely different video sessions. And I taught hockey. I taught power plays. I taught forechecks. I taught how teams try to score off the rush. We did very, very little actual video review of goalies making saves. It was just hockey. And I taught the game. And we went to, I did my forechecking video session, and the goalies were, why are we learning this? I'm like, because this is going to help you with puck handling. If you understand, if the other team is sending 2 or 1 into the low part, in the low layer on the forecheck, if it's a 2-1-2 or a 1-2-2 or a 1-3, if you understand how they are forechecking, you should know how to handle the puck. You should be able to know that your first touch, what you want to do. Because the difference between a 2-1-2 stack and a 2-1-2 spread will change, first of all, your verbal communication to your defenseman. But it will also change that if you go handle the puck, understanding if the two guys are coming on the strong side or if they're spreading, what you should be able to do. And at the end of the summer, before we had our discourse, and I had like a little review in the very last video session, and some of my college goalies, I said, what did you guys think about the video this year? And I was expecting to be like, well, I wish we did a little bit more RVH video. I wish we did a little bit more technical video and showing us what we were doing. And some of the more mature college goalies said, man, I wish we did this when I was 10 years old. I learned more this summer about how to play the puck and how to read offense and how to read a power play than I ever had before. And her name is Rachel Stareznik, who plays at McKendree. She's going into her final year of college hockey. She goes, if I knew this 4 years ago before college, my first 2 years, I would have been way better. And I'm like, damn, I should have done this a long time ago, because it was awesome. So that goes back to like your coaches. You can't handle the puck. Well, either can your fifth and sixth defenseman. So teach them, let me figure out how to handle the puck. But
puck handling isn't hard. To learn how to, if you're a goal, so for your goalie parent listening, the best way to, it's hard to differentiate because they're both basically the same term. Just like to be able to learn how to pass and shoot a puck is honestly just go in your backyard and just pass and shoot a puck, like with your gloves on. That's how you learn how to pass and shoot. What everyone talks about when they talk about puck handling is the playing the puck behind the net, making passes in real time. And that's a skill, like you said, is understanding the forecheck, understanding your defensive zone structure, being able to scan, process that in real time under pressure. That is the tricky part. And I think it gets definitely lost in the sauce there when I'll see a lot of goalie coaches and stuff, or goalies like, hey, we're doing puck handling today. And all it is they're just like stick handling over pucks and over sticks and stuff. I'm like, you know what, that's good. Like, you have to be able to learn how to do that. That's step 1. But step 2 is the actual application of it. And that's where we see goalies struggle. And then the big part of that too is confidence. Confidence coming from your coaches, or if you're a coach, if you're a head coach listening, you've probably turned off the podcast by now because you're like, my sixth defenseman is pretty bad. Is just allow your goalie, especially when they're in minor hockey, just say like, hey, I don't care if you make a mistake and it ends up the back of our net. Like, make those mistakes early, because it doesn't really matter right now.
A better answer, because that's what I do, is I give you better answers. A better answer is make that mistake in October. And then by March, when it's playoff time, you're executing that same play.
Yeah. So what I said, you just added months to it. You said a time, right?
I added the betterness to it.
I had another goalie question that sort of circles back into our habits portion. Now, this one is, I have a goalie who skates with other goalie coaches. Nothing wrong with that. I encourage it. However, I peep in sometimes when they're at the same rink or if I'm at a different rink, and I see the other goalie coach doing things that are reinforcing all the habits, the bad habits that we're trying to work out. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do with that? Like, I just continually work him out. The big one is this goalie is really good. He's progressed really well. He has a drill mindset because the other goalie coaches he works with will do the ones where it's like shot here, an immediate shot there into a post to post, and another shot there. And so he's never like tracking out rebounds. He's never like processing. Like, he's always getting up before he slides. And obviously I'm talking about specific goalies, but I could probably name about 10 right off the top of my head that do this exact same thing. And then we finally start to work that out over the course of 1 or 2 sessions. And then it comes back. And it comes back, and then it comes back. So should I just go talk to the other goalie coach? Should I just accept that because I would get a huge argument, but should I just accept that it is what it is, and eventually he will fall into whatever goalie coach style he plays with? It's frustrating because he'll do well, then I'll watch like a game, and he'll give up a goal because he got up too early or didn't track out a rebound and lost it. And we just spent 2 hours saying that exact same thing. You got to track it off your body. You got to track it off your body. And it's not tracking it. And what do I do?
Let's go back and unpack a little bit of this. Number one, if you're on the ice with a goalie and then another goalie coach is watching your session and comes up after that session and is like, I don't like that you're doing what are you going to say? I know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know what I'm going to say.
Thank you very much for your input. I will take that into consideration, but I appreciate you. I probably won't say it. Why? So yeah, let's scratch that. You're not going to tell this guy.
Yeah, that was obviously never going to happen.
Okay, so number 2. You said off the bat this goal is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like really good?
Getting there.
Okay, so if he's getting there, you got to take a step back and be like, it's working. Right? If he's getting better, then don't change it. As much as you want to have influence, as much as you want to have control, if the kid is getting better by doing some of that stuff and you see constant progression, then just leave it alone. You show him the videos, the goals that you want to address and say, hey, this is what we've been working on, like a passive recovery on a slide, so that we don't get that puck now coming back underneath of us, and show him the video. But it's up to him to make the change. Then you work on the things because that guy's probably seen some other stuff too. Because remember, as goalie coaches, we have bias, right? And I already kind of, like before we talked about, your bias is you love guys that can skate really, really well. That's a bias. There's other guys that love guys that can slide really, really well. So everyone's going to have their own bias. So when we watch goalies, me and you, we see the same thing. Like, we see guys that we like, they hit their mark, positional, they're really light on their edges, and they have very, very good hip mobility. And when other goalie coaches watch the same guy, they're going to see something that we don't see. So you're seeing your bias, that guy's seeing his bias, and nobody's right or wrong, especially if the kid's playing well. So if he's getting better, leave it alone. You don't need to go pick fights with colleagues. Because
I wasn't ever going to pick a fight. It was just, it's frustrating.
A lot of machine goaltending.
It was just frustrating because this one is, in my mind, is easily addressable.
Show the goalie the video. Show them. You have to show, if you want to make change, especially if this kid is like between 14 and 17, which I'm assuming he probably is. But if that goalie's in that age group, you're going to have to show them why they need to make a change.
Sure.
If they're playing well. Like, the worst thing you can do is tell a kid who's playing well, because they don't believe you. Oh, this is not going to work at the next level, blah, blah, blah. They're just be like, dude, I'm 8-0. You got to show them. Right? The ones that want to get to that level, the ones that want to get coached, and they hold themselves to the higher standard, they'll take that coaching, they'll take that critiquing, because it's not criticism, and then they'll apply it. But you got to show them.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's show them. And you're probably wrong.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's a good way. I was never gonna approach them. It was just kind of, it sucks to say the same thing every single time, and then it just gets erased every single time. You're just like pushing the boulder up the hill, and it's always at the bottom of the hill when you go to start.
Oh,
That brings me.
I had the exact same thing this morning. I spoke in a half an hour ago. I had a kid that is a longtime student of mine that switched associations. So he got goalie lessons through the association with somebody else. Now, I didn't see him for probably 3 months during the season last year. When he came back, every time he would T-push, so he'd pivot, and then he'd lift his lead leg up off the ground to load, and then he'd push. Like, drive me nuts. So I spent this entire summer. I came up, like, I did this warm-up skating drill, which is about connection, shortening the distance we move. So cut, and then it couldn't lift it because it was so slow. And I was teaching them that you don't need to load, just need to connect. So all summer, I go away on vacation, he goes away on vacation, back skates in the morning, and big cut, big lift to the foot, and push back because he has team training camp last week. And same thing. So I'm frustrated. I'm like, oh my God. I got video. It'll be on my blog next week. So everybody go watch. You'll see the kid. But yes, I understand your frustration because I was pulling my hair out this morning. We can't play.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't play games. We just teach them.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I sat down with the Sander, future pro. So we're not the goalie that I'm referencing isn't one of his. And Dave and I are on the same page with a lot of things. But we were talking about a lot of goalies that we're getting, like the goalie coaches that force goalies to play a certain style and how that affects them. Because I got feedback from one of my younger girl goalies went to like one of those ID camps, and then they got the classic write up, and it was, if I hear one more thing about glove degree angles, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. That and back degree angles. It's
Angulation.
Spinal angulation. But again, it goes back to, is this goalie able to catch pucks? Yes. Are they getting beat glove a lot? No. Don't change anything. And then exactly what he said, because what this reminded me when he said there, like, well, that's not going to work at the next level. How do you know? How do you know that? Let them get there, and then if it doesn't work, you adjust it.
Okay, you hit on something. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's what I do best. I had I'm not going to give names because I don't want anybody to know who she is or where she goes. I have very, very elite NCAA Division I goalie who's going into her last year that skates with me in the summer. And longtime student, incredibly good. I'm not going to give too much information. She came in at the beginning of the summer, and she is 5'7", very athletic, loves recovering to her feet, and prefers to be on her feet, prefers to recover, gain her feet. It's like, to me, I'm like, yes, thank you. 5'7", you're not big enough that you can just stay in a blocking position. She's not a big fan of doing RVHs. She likes hold her feet. I'm like, great, I can work with this. So I said, well, what do you want to work on? She's like, my team goalie coach really wants me to not recover and stay down and use more RVHs. And I said, well, why? It's like, well, he just thinks because I can't play like this at the next level. Now, without giving up too much information, let's just say she led the nation in everything last year. And
I know who you're talking about. And
she's an Olympian.
Yeah.
She's already been at the next level. So I'm like, all right, if this is what you want to do, I don't agree with it, but I'll work with you because this is what you want. We did 2 or 3 weeks of it, and it just wasn't comfortable. She wasn't having success. It wasn't working. So we had a conversation. I said, you had an unbelievable last 3 years. Why do we want to change what's working? She's like, well, what happens if it doesn't work at the next level? I'm like, if it doesn't work at the next level, then change it. But right now, this is getting you to that next level. What if this doesn't make you better at the next level? Then you'd spend all of this time trying to change something that was working because you had a coach say he didn't think it was going to work at the next level, but you don't know. Don't change something that's working. That's overcoaching. We don't know.
And then don't try to put every goalie into this model your ideal model? Like we all, there's some coaches in here in Michigan. Like when I get a goalie that gets to the school, I know what school they train at. Same for you in Southern Ontario. You got goalies. You're like, I know exactly where you train. Yeah, that drives me. It's to say that, and it goes along with like every time you slide, you have to be like super compact in a block because what happens if they shoot through your arm? You mean what happens if they shoot at the wide open net that's to the side of you where they are aiming? It's just one of those ones where it's like, I don't know. You have to fill as much space as possible, and if they shoot through your arm, it happens. Like you can't stop everything all the time.
So perfect example of you can't all put everybody in the same box is I went and watched the first period of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And I was doing that because we were talking about just contrasting the way Edmonton played and the way that Florida played. And I had a little bit of time, so I decided, I'm like, listen, I'm going to count the different low angle plays that Stuart Skinner used and Bobrovsky used. In the first 90 seconds of the game, Stuart Skinner used 7 RVHs, and he had 0 touches. So after 20 minutes, and I'm going to ask you what you think the shots were at the end. At the end of the 20 minutes, Stuart Skinner had 28 RVHs with 2 touches. He had 0 overlaps with 0 touches. Okay? It's a 20-minute period. Sergei Bobrovsky had 13 RVHs with 5 puck touches and 8 overlaps with 4 puck touches. Okay, so 13 RVHs to 28 and 8 overlaps to 0. So when we talk about goalies not playing the same style or not being put into the same box, these are both goalies that are playing in the Stanley Cup Finals that played a very, very completely different style. Now, what do you think the shots were in that period when you hear those numbers?
You think that Bobrovsky is going to have more shots against?
Well, Stuart Skinner had 28 RVHs.
So Stuart Skinner would have given up, probably had more shots against.
Shots were 9-9.
See, like you never would guess that from that number.
He had 28 RVHs with 2 puck touches. Now, this isn't me arguing about which way is better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is Stuart Skinner, bigger, slower, not as good of a skater, not as athletic, not as good sliding with hip mobility and extension, all of those things. They're not the same person. But when he has 28 RVHs compared to Bobrovsky's 13 and 8 overlaps, like we're not putting them in the same box. 2 guys at the highest level in the Stanley Cup final playing a Stanley Cup winning game, playing completely different styles. So don't take your goalies and make them all play the exact same way. It is setting them up for failure.
All I heard from that story was RVH is the reason Edmonton lost the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, the RVHs are going to be. I did this for fun because sometimes I'm a dork. I just kind of estimated how many RVHs Stuart Skinner would do compared to Bobrovsky if we said had 50 starts and 200 practices and then training camp. He's like 100,000 RVHs a year.
It's a lot.
A lot.
That's only game RVHs?
No, that was like me just guessing. Like it's not,
yeah.
But like practice, preseason, playoffs, 50 starts a year. And then that didn't even include like training in the off season, like goalie specific sessions.
A
So
lot
it's like
of RVHs.
But like that's a lot of RVHs. And for a guy who's very big and heavy, and surgeons are just drooling right now.
Oh, they just can't wait. Oh, to be an orthopedic hip specialist in the hockey area. That's why you come to Ghost Jam Performance before that you ever need that surgery. You said something and I got distracted by trying to keep track of all the number of RVHs to overlaps. In my free Discord, shameless plug will be in the link below, is someone asked me a question like, hey, can you send me that the RVH zone map you made? And I'm like, well, I just sent the picture of the golden triangles. I have never made a zone map. I can't personally, this is my personal coaching bias, I can't stand mapping those zones where it's like blocking area. I think Hockey Canada still does that, where it's like blocking area, reacting area. As soon as the puck gets here, you have to overlap. Again, you can't use the same zones for a kid who's 4'11" and the same ones for a 6'7" goalie. They shouldn't be using the same zones. And also, my mind is teaching zones like that teaches robots. So you can't complain that North American goalies are too robotic and then yet do things to reinforce robotic tendencies. And this has been a lot. I've been having this discussion way too many times over the past month. I don't know why. Maybe just because everyone's coming back and starting to get ready for games. But it's just been like, my goalie coach back home said I need to do this. Okay. Can you explain why? No. You just said I have to. Well, do you like it? Not really. Why are you doing it? It's like I said I was have to. Do you find it helps you? I don't know. What would you like to do? Like this. It's like, okay. Do you think you squeezing the post really hard with your elbow really impacts your game that much, other than make you think about how you should be squeezing your post with that elbow when you should just be watching the puck and scanning the ice? Like, oh, I never thought of that like that. What happens when they knock me over on the net? I don't know. What happens when they don't? Like, there's so many things that I can't stand those like what ifs. What if? But what happens when I make a what happens? And you just slide a little bit outside the post on a backdoor one timer just so that you can fill a little bit more net and you don't get stopped by the post. But what about the rebound shot? What happens if it goes short side? What happens if there is no rebound? I need you to actually make the first save first, and then we'll worry about the second save. And it's been nonstop for the last little bit of these discussions.
I want to impart this wisdom on anybody listening. I'm going to challenge every goalie and every athlete to ask better questions. We always ask questions. We ask them questions. I want all of our athletes and anybody listening to this to not just ask questions back, but ask the better questions. Think outside the box of why you're doing something, but then ask the better question. So a perfect example is of what you said is the elbow squeezing the post. The question is like, okay, why do I want to squeeze the post? The better question is, do I squeeze the post in every situation? Then your goalie coach has to think and has to give you a better detailed answer of why you're squeezing the post so that you can understand when to squeeze the post. But I do this a lot when I do my D sessions is I say to them, I'm like, ask better questions. And the guys that start to ask the better questions are the guys that their development goes like this, because now they're actually processing the information of what we're trying to teach them instead of just listening and then asking like the simple basic answers that a U9 house league kid would ask. But if they're forced to ask the better questions back to you, and a lot of times they'll ask me a question, like, no, ask me a better question. And then they have to think about it. And then I feel like it helps them understand things a lot better. But that's something I've been doing a lot, I would say, in this calendar year. And I can honestly say this summer I had a collection of goalies that were the smartest group I've ever had. And Jake Saranik. But I love Jake. And me and Jake have an understanding of I'm going to make fun of him and he's going to hate it. We just get along that way. But that's something. Challenge them to ask better questions. And anybody listening to this, if you're a hockey dad, tell your parents that. If you want them to understand concepts that their coaches are teaching them, whether they're a forward, a D, a centerman, a goalie, challenge your kids to ask better questions. Because there's been a couple times where kids asked me a question, I was like, dang, I have to think about the same.
Yeah, I get so fired up when a kid asks me a good question. Like, I'm like, yes, this is why I like coaching. Like, this is it. I try to think of I can't remember. There's a couple good ones this summer where I was like, where I did have to think about it too. But I like that, just ask better questions. Or like I'm big into the technical aspect of the motivational interviewing questions where you're asking a question to get the goalie to come up with the answer themselves. And I like that. I think if someone asks me a question that's not very like a good question, I'm just gonna say that, can you ask that again? But ask it a little bit better. And then make them try to think about situations and stuff like that. But I can tell like my older goalies now, the ones that I had in that were in minor hockey that are now going off to junior or going off to college, you could tell that which ones were good at asking better questions because I don't have to say anything when we coach. And I just stand there and then they'll give up a goal and they'll already just tell me exactly what they did. And I go, yep. And I just take a knee sometimes. I just take a knee sometimes and I just sit and I'm just watching and I'm just nodding my head and they're self-correcting, they're self-coaching. If they don't know, they go like, what do you, or they say like, what do you think on that? Oh yeah. I don't know, maybe. Do you think you could have got there and like, you think you got there on your feet? And then it's usually, no, I think his speed was a little bit faster than mine. I couldn't match it. I had to slide. Okay. If you're okay with that read, I'm okay with that read. And it's like that's that highest level that we're trying to build for all the goalies. I think a big thing, I love that you talked about your goalie that tries to stand on their feet too much, where I've yet to get one of those. I'm very excited when a goalie recovers to their feet on a rebound. Or like when I explain a drill, I like sometimes I'm just like, hey, you're gonna start at the top of your circle, you're gonna make your save, you're gonna follow your rebound. They immediately slide.
Yeah.
How do you know you're sliding? What do you mean? Follow my rebound. What happens if your rebound's out of the zone? They go, and then they just stare. So if you're wondering that no, the podcast didn't freeze, they just give this like just quiet, nothing going on in the brain stare when I ask them to have to process the rebounds like that.
You know what I've done? And this, I just did this a couple weeks ago, and I did it. Which I did because I was really tired and I just didn't want to shoot pucks for a little bit. But I did like a skate pattern, and I said to the goalies, because when we process, the majority of the time we process visually, see a puck come up stick, our eyes visually attach, process in our brain, and then we respond. We don't do as much auditory processing as a goalie. So I said, like, we're going to do some auditory processing. This is the pattern. Just before you make your go save, I'm going to tell you where the puck went, and then you have to respond. And I did that, and I said, okay, maybe they come do a butterfly, they go back to the glove. That's what we're doing. But I'll tell them whether or not there's a rebound. I'll tell them if it's dangerous. I'll say if there was no pressure. I can say if it was like tight, if they had to slide, and they had to be able to respond. The pattern can be the exact same. The recovery could be different 7 times. So as soon as they were going, I would yellow the situation. Shot low glove, puck went to the corner on a guy's stick. That guy's walking behind the net. You have to go post to post. And while they were moving, they had to process all that. And as soon as they hit the butterfly, then they had to execute that drill. And it's something I would do all the time. But it was a good mix up. Like it was something like refreshing to do that I haven't really done before. And you could see which guys could move around and still process. They were still a little bit of overloading the brain, but it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, that brings me, there's 2 things that pop in my brain. One, as much as I'm not a big visual edge guy, I think that not visual edge specifically, but any sort of VR, like if you are someone that has access to like synthetic ice or just open ice, and you're not going to take a puck to the face, like that's when a VR situation can help kind of reinforce some of those good patterns. Where if like you make a save and you see your rebound go far away, like hopefully it's automatic that you get up to your feet kind of thing. And then we had a talk a couple months ago about dumb and smart RVHs and why, like when we do RVH things, we usually never do it with pucks, especially in skating. So I started to do things where I would keep a puck in my hand and then we'd have our basic skating drill, but they'd have to follow the puck the whole time. And like if I would be there and I did a lot of things like just like a lot of very aggressive, over exaggerated hinging where they went to like hyper sharp into goal line flat just so they could get leverage on the post. But I would say like you're going to hinge in relation to this puck. So I'm going to you're going to make your save, you're going to follow the puck, you're going to hit your RVH, and then I'm going to step up really high and you're going to really sharpen out, and then you're going to follow it. And then I'd force them to do that. And I found that was good. That combined with just double nets beside each other and then doing skating drills, mixing my skating drills and tracking drills where the other goalie was have to make a stick save and try to score on the other goalie from an RVH position, forcing them to react and have smarter RVHs. I think that was beneficial when going through the RVH portion of my summer. You have any parting shots? I don't really have anything else to add. I think I just aired all my grievances that I've had since our last podcast.
I don't know. Did you watch my last vlog when I made fun of you?
I did. Yes, you are a peasant, and the reason is because you're a shill for every brand, and that's the problem. Where I'm just a shill for one brand.
I shill for every band. I call out everything, everybody. But I just like.
Although I will, a goalie monkey sent me the new eFlex 7 chest protector. I have part of the review. I got to edit it. My plan was I was going to do a video review on like how to break in a chest protector. I give CCM a lot of credit. Right out of the box, game ready. Like it's easily ready to go. And I was pleasantly impressed by that. I even put my gear on and took some shots with it, which is my nightmare. So goalie monkey, you're welcome. Other than it was I thought it was very long and the shoulders were very propped up. It was a pretty nice chest protector right out of the box. So I'll give CCM some credit for that one. And I know a couple of my guys, one of my guys switched to it. One of them went to the Flylight chest protector, which I haven't tried on yet.
Vaughn VX1's the best chest protector. Can't convince me different. Guys,
So
put it on. Massive, and they can move.
I don't know if we had a podcast since my whole AHA travel fiasco and stuff, but
We have
when we
not.
were there, yeah, when we were there, again, today's vlog, I actually just posted, it should be uploaded by now, summarizing my horrible travel back and American Airlines reluctance to reimburse a stick that they decapitated, just clean cut off. The blade wasn't even in the bag. Like it got stuck in some sort of machinery and just it ate it up. And that was something else. And I'm not getting reimbursed on those sticks. But anyways, there's a lot of goalie, like a lot of like assistant NCAA assistant coaches that are goalie coaches and like goalie coaches at like prep schools and D3 schools. And so we were going back and forth. But this is my question for you. What do you think was the best pair of goalie pants of all time? Like an obscure one, like goalie pants.
Goalie pants.
Yeah.
I'm partial to the RBK pants and CCM pants because I feel like they're more square than the other ones. But you know what? I've never worn them. Guys that have McKinney pants love them. Like
That's such an Ontario answer.
I know, but they're actually pretty big around here. Like, and guys will come in with McKinney pants, and I'm like, what are those pants? Because they look big. But I had a guy come in last week who's 16. He was wearing RBK goalie pants, and I was just like, I love those because they were so square.
Is that the ones that were slightly blue on the inside with the internal belt?
They had the internal belt, yeah, but they were like orange on the back, like on the inside.
Oh.
So
my answer, I never wore them, but they became illegal. I don't know if I say they became illegal, what are you going to say?
Right, Coho.
No, Von Epic.
Oh, they can't.
Completely squared on the thigh.
No, I don't know. I was
never
never
those.
like, I don't remember that stuff.
Right now, I am a shill for Bauer, and I know that they're releasing a new pant in spring. But right now, my number one contender is still a Vaughn Vaughn Pro custom pant. Like those are the best. And if Ev from Vaughn, if you're listening, send Derek send myself a set because they are easily the best pants that you can get. And the Coventry Blades did not let me take my pants back, so they're somewhere in the either.
They have not sponsored me, so I will say that are the worst. They are the worst pants. Don't buy Bauer pants unless Bauer sponsors me. Then I will tell everybody to buy Bauer pants.
When I talked with Elliot in New Hampshire, he admitted that their retail pants have not been as successful as they wanted it to be, but they have made the changes though. So I give them that.
They went Lululemon and they tried to go tight fit, so guys looked cool. But are they contoured? Like they are round.
I know.
And I'm trying everything to get him into CCMs, but they're just his size and he's so damn little that I can't find a pair that fit him well. But the second he eats some damn steak and puts a little bit of weight on, he's going into a CCM pant. Unless Bauer sponsors.
I'm excited for Bauer to release the stuff about their new pro chest protector. Because remember when CCM, right when they had the NHL sizing limits, and the CCM released their like first version of their like pro or like the Premier Pro, and the one like Matt Murray's wearing, you're like, how is Matt Murray's chest protector? That's that picture of it. How is it so big? And I remember that year I switched to like a Bauer, and it was so much smaller. And Elliot and I had a good discussion about like all that stuff. But Bauer basically has cracked the code, the same code that CCM had cracked with their Pro Chest Protector. And you'll see a lot more guys wearing it this year. And I'm excited to get my hands on one of those. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get one because they are, because I still am under the belief that the CCM Pro Chest Protector is the best. So I'm hoping Bauer can change my mind. And I saw pictures and stuff of it, and the potential's there. I just got to get one in hand and give you a good opinion.
Anybody who likes the Bauer V90 glove, they have you to thank. You were the original Bauer 580 break guy, I think, of the
Myself
planet.
and Roberto Luongo, equal goalies in talent and skill level.
Yeah, except Luongo never wore a Bauer glove. Also, you know who popped in to see me the other day? Ryan Guy.
Hey,
Yeah.
Stanley Cup champion, 2-time.
Yeah, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. The Ryan Guy, old friend of mine and Jamie's from Hamilton, Ontario, moved to Vancouver, moved to Florida, somehow became the E-Bug goalie for Florida and is their practice goalie. And he pops in all the time. But Florida wins the Stanley Cup, and I'm just scrolling Instagram, and I see Ryan Guy drinking out of the Stanley Cup with Roberto Luongo in a picture at a bar. And I'm just like, what am I seeing? Like, this guy, he's like first of all, he's the greatest storyteller that I've ever met my entire life. But this guy is like living, he's like that best friend that you never see, but you just see him all over the news doing the coolest stuff. Because this is Ryan Guy, and he is the biggest junior C beauty in the history of Ontario junior C hockey. So my shout out, I have 2 shout outs. My shout out is to Ryan Guy, who popped in. He always just pops in. Guy doesn't text. He just randomly shows up at on ice. And then I got to carve out 40 minutes just to listen to all his stories. But shout out to Ryan Guy, 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
I have 2 shoutouts. One is in the same vein as Stanley Cup champion would be my former teammate for 2 months, Nate Mitten, he was the assistant strength coach for the Florida Panthers and also is the owner. They just changed the name. It was Athlete Farm Niagara, but I think it's now like Greatness Club.
No, it's House of Greatness.
House of Greatness. House of Greatness. I apologize. They just rebranded. I love anyone who rebrands. Like, I just love it because I'll probably rebrand 6 more times here before I'm out. He also was Stanley Cup champion. And then my second show.
I also coached again, Nate. He played junior D hockey in St. George for the Dukes. And saw him on the ice and he had his teeth out. I'm like, I know him.
And then, yeah, he also a former teammate of Ben at University of Ontario or Ontario Tech, whatever they call it now. And then my second shout out would be to the Wolfords, the Ryan and Christy, their daughters, and everyone who's helped me with the gym. That will be a whole other story of frustrations. Brick and mortar business is a lot different than online business. Surprise, surprise. But when you're given a 3-week window to do a 12-week project by yourself, you need a lot of help from friends and family, including, I don't know if she's still here, including my wife, Fran, and a lot of my team, a lot of my athletes that coached came in and helped, whether it's painting the gym, sweeping floors, building bars. The gym is still not ready. It's going to be ready at the 11th hour, but with unrealistic timeframes, we still might be able to pull it off. And so I want to shout out everyone that's helped put that together because it definitely means a lot, especially for the first 12 days. I spending 18 hours at the rink trying to get everything put together in time. And we're still there. We're still waiting on flooring, but thank you to everyone that's helped because it does mean a tremendous amount to get that put together because I can't do everything myself as much as I try.
So everybody who's been all over me because we haven't been consistent with podcast drops, you just heard why. Because Jamie is a very, very busy guy. My last shout out is to, I have a new goalie this summer who I think is going to be unbelievable, and has made 3 months with me, has made more strides than I think anybody has. And I can't take full credit because she worked with JJ Gold in Burlington before, and I think still does. Her name is Liv Folkens. So she's playing U15, and right that in 3 months, this girl has gone from here to here, and she's not exclusively with me. She's also with Jay Goaltending, who John Jeffries, Burlington, Ontario, super cool guy. Get along with him really well, but he did an unbelievable good job with her. And I just started working with her, and I think together we can get this girl to be a name that everybody hears.
I think I saved this one because it wasn't announced. Owen Lundberg signed with the Vancouver Giants WHL, one of my former students. So current students, one of my former Fox goalies and still current student, and flies out from Minnesota to train with me 2 or 3 weeks a year. So, and he's signing right out of Minnesota high school, right into the dub. I'm excited because he's a very good goalie, and I hope he does really well. And he's under the tutelage of my former head coach in Muskegon, Parker Burgess, who is easily one of the best coaches that I've ever been around. And if he doesn't get an NHL job one day, I'll be flabbergasted because he is very good at what he does.
You got to keep one up at me, even on this.
Yeah. That one I forgot. Well, because I had it saved because I wasn't allowed to announce anything.
Oh.
In the last pod, and then I haven't been able to pod because I've been, you know what? Like I'm the least blue collar guy of all time. Like I'm actually basically useless. I've had to learn a lot, but there's one thing that no one will ever outwork me at things. And my poor wife yelled at me because she's like, "You can't be doing this all the way up until the wedding. This is no," because like I would be gone in the house at 4 a.m. and I would come back at about 10 at night, and it would be painting, fixing ceilings from falling down. Like I have very high standards, and so like any little detail needs to be addressed. And I only had 2 panic attacks this whole time, which is probably a new record given everything that I've been under. So I'm excited to launch this gym, and everyone needs to come and either train at Derek's or mine this summer. Nowhere else in the world, please.
The only thing I heard there is that you were building ceilings that were falling down.
No, I was fixing ceilings. Not the ceilings weren't falling down. The prior gym tenant did not take care of the facility probably to the best that to at least the same standards that I would have had. So like soccer balls and everything were kicked in the insulation. And so like the insulation was everywhere. Everything's falling down and like had to be taped. The arena wasn't going to cover that. And so like I had to get up there, tried to get in at 19-foot scissor lift, but apparently the door was put on the wrong way, so it wouldn't go in. And so I'm on a 19-foot ladder, and I put on like scissors on these extenders that I made. I'm trying to like cut off pieces of insulation. Like I like trying not to fall. Like it would have been a comic show, but the gym looks really cool.
I can tell you, why didn't you just get scaffolding?
I guess I could have probably got scaffolding. The thing is, I didn't want to pay for it. My budget is incredibly thin. Pardon?
But you were going to rent a scissor lift.
No. Another company that was doing construction had rented it, and they just left it out front for the weekend to let people pick it up, and they left it on.
You were going to steal the scissor lift.
No, we did. We tried to get it in.
It
didn't work. It didn't work. But the facility, basically, I decided that rather than pay an extra probably 15 grand-ish to do all the renovations for a crew, that I was going to do it myself and put that money towards better equipment is kind of where I went. I was like, I'd rather have the gym open with all the best equipment, and like everything I'm doing is in 4s. So it's really efficient for athletes to train and the teams to train. So we can have multiple teams training at multiple times. And so being able to afford to build everything in with 4s, like, 4 trap bars, 4 safety bars, for this, for that, I had to move my budget around. And I decided that, okay, like I'm going to take 12 days of 18-hour days of painting and renovations and all this stuff in order to reinvest that money into the equipment so that it was good from day one. And I didn't have to have like a kind of an okay gym to start and then build as we go. And so again, I just traded a lot of time and sleep, but it is pretty cool. And I'm excited for you to see it when you come down here in like 2 weeks.
I'm pumped.
We'll definitely we'll have your vlog and my vlog filming simultaneously. It'll be very meta. It'll be a vlog inside a vlog, but it'll be cool. Thanks everyone for listening. I do apologize for my tardiness and not being able to do pods, but we will get back on a more consistent schedule, especially after Labor Day when Derek's kids go to school, and I will be in the rink full time again, not painting, just being classic physio Jamie. We said all our parting shots. Anything else you want to add because you like to get the last word? That's too bad. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see everyone next week.